Hello and welcome to a Monster Mechanics mini episode where we're talking about what's the best mythical dog. All right, well, this is about the most on-brand episode that we'll ever do, where it's both dogs and monsters.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to go first or should I?
Go for it.
All right. The real trouble for this one is like picking just one, because like they're all good dogs, and like I could espouse all night about the Beast of Bray Road and the and Kerberos, and you know all the various versions of the black dog called the Barghest and stuff, and the Mighty Dew. But I'm going to give a special shout out to the Church Grim.
Okay, tell me about the Church Grim.
So the legend is that when you start a new cemetery, when you start a new graveyard, the first person to be buried there has to stay there and help everybody else on at the afterlife. And like guard the place from other ghosts and things. And so in response to this, people started to bury dogs as the first thing in a graveyard. And so then that dog, its ghost acts as a guard dog for the graveyard for the rest of time.
Interesting.
If, you know, you die and you like, they lay you to rest in your grave and you pop out and there's just like a big old dog there, like ready to guide you into the afterlife, I am totally there for that.
Sign me up for that. Yeah.
100% the best, the goodest psychopomp.
So I think, like, they're all so good. They're all good dogs.
They're all good.
But just for the sheer absurdity of it, I have to go with the Axe Handle Hound.
This is this is from the same category of creature as my favorite, the squonk. This is like the American folktale creatures. Yeah.
For those of you who are not aware, the Axe Handle Hound, it's basically
it's so good.
A dog shaped like an axe with an axe head for a head, and it roams campgrounds at night eating axe handles.
Yep.
And I would love to be a fly on the wall for the conversation that led to this the creation of this creature. Of this creature.
Yeah, it's from a category of things called from the Midwest. They call them fearsome critters. And the squonk is one of them. I love the squonk so much. And it's basically just like loggers telling newbies bullshit in the middle of while they're waiting for at the end of the night. They're like, what can we get past this impressionable child and make them believe? It's so good. But yeah, Axe Handle Hound, love it.
I mean, there will always be a special place in my heart for the Cerberus. But
yeah,
I figured we could highlight some of the lesser known ones.
I love Cerberus because all of the ears to stretch and like 3 times as much licking. But you have to imagine, how does that thing's digestion work? Like, it's got 3 esophaguses that go into a single digestive tract, maybe? Or does it have 3 buttholes?
I mean, wouldn't that just be like 3 separate dogs at that point? Just kind of
pretty much
grafted together?
A little bit. Since we've talked about Cerberus enough, or Kerberos, depending on how pretentious you want to be, is whether or not you put a hard C on that. I should point out that depending on how you interpret the etymological evidence, there is some reason to believe that Kerberos, which they have a hard time figuring out what it means, comes from a Proto-Greek word that means spotted. So it is entirely reasonable to assume that, or the god of the underworld named his dog Spot.
I also love that because traditionally, you think of the big black beastie with 3 snarling heads, but now I'm just picturing like a Jack Russell or something. With just
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm thinking like a French bulldog, with the gargoyle face and just the little sausage body and no tail and just ugly. And oh man, I know we were talking myths, but I have a huge affection for Clifford the big red dog, who starts as a tiny puppy and then just gets huge, and just that's the whole story, is that every single one of those books is just look how big this dog is, which I love.
I feel like that book was written by a man who bought a large breed dog puppy. Yeah. And it started off really tiny, and he's just like, is this thing ever going to stop? What have I done?
Yeah. That rusty coat on a Irish Wolfhound or something like that. Totally could. I would buy that as Clifford the big red dog. Let's see. Is there any other honorable mentions that we want to bring out?
I mean, they're real dogs. but I love the myths surrounding corgis.
Oh, yes. This is a good one where they're a herding breed. And so they're little short little guys because they're supposed to bite the ankles of cattle. And so people are like, oh, yeah, they're gifts from the fairies. And that they're short so that fairies can ride them. And their markings are from the bridle and saddle and stuff that the fairies used to ride them around on. That's fantastic. Well, on that note, we would love to hear from you guys what your favorite mythical dog was, as long as you keep in mind that they're all good dogs. And so hit us up on Twitter at MonsterMPod, and we'll see you again next week. I guess on topic, it's going to be werewolves.
All right. Until then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this Monster Mechanics mini episode. For the outro today, I am joined by our elderly mastiff, Ellie. Say hi, Ellie. What's that? What? You want people to leave us reviews or to share this great podcast with their friends? Well, I mean, that would be a great idea. What? Oh, no, she was actually just trying to tell me that there's a rabbit in the yard and that makes her very angry. Well, anyway, Monster Mechanics is produced and edited by me, Scott Paladin, and hosted by myself and my best friend, Zach Jaquays. All of the ideas produced under this podcast are released under a do what the f*** you want public license.